Over 60 countries currently criminalize same-sex intimacy, with 12 countries including the death penalty as punishment. As a result, LGBTQ+ people are being displaced around the world at an alarming rate.
And that's why the work being done by the Rainbow Railroad, an organization helping LGBTQ+ people find pathways to safety, is so urgent right now. And here to talk more about this work is the head of the engagement, Latoya, Nugent, and Rahma Esslouani, a newcomer who is relocated to Canada with the Rainbow Railroad's help. Welcome to the show, ladies. It's great to have you here, and welcome.
Latoya, I understand there's been a sharp increase in the requests for help that Rainbow Railroad has received in the past decade. In fact, in 2024, you received 13,402 requests, which is astronomical. Can you talk a little bit about what's behind this spike?
One of the things we've noticed in our work over the years is that wherever in the world there is a geopolitical crisis, it has a corresponding impact on the request for help we receive. And wherever in the world there are countries that are perpetrating violence against LGBTQ+ people, and LGBTQ+ people are experiencing, discrimination because of the rising anti-LGBTQ+ hate, we also see that corresponding in the data that we receive, and that is what is contributing to the increase in numbers.
All right, so Rahma, you reached out to the Rainbow Railroad after experiencing persecution in Morocco and Turkey. So talk to me about that experience that just made you make that decision to leave home.
Yeah, before coming to Canada, I was living in Turkey as a queer refugee. And before that, I was in Morocco. So it was very hard for me to be myself. It's not just dangerous, but it's illegal. And I face all kinds of violence and persecution, discrimination between family and also at work and outside. So it was very hard for me. So also I was forced to get married to a man. So this thing makes me that I have either to choice what I want or to follow what they want me to be. So I escaped to Turkey, and then I thought that it will be a good choice, but unfortunately it was worse than I thought. I faced all kinds of violence, persecution. Also, I was imprisoned and arrested because of my sexual identity. So I was living in fear to be myself, fear to be outside, fear to walk, fear to be arrested again or deported. So that's why I contact Rainbow Road, and now I am here.
So we're so glad you are. Thank you. So glad you're here. Yeah. Latoya, today is World Refugee Day, and Rainbow Railroad released its annual report on the state of global LGBTQ+ persecution. So what struck you most about this year's findings?
A lot of things, stood out for me, but the number one, data point, I would say, is the amount of, or the number of LGBTQ+ youth who reached out to us for help. Of those 13,402 requests you mentioned, 82% came from people who are 18 to 35. Wow. 40% 18 to 25, and 42% 26 to 35. And what that tells us is that young people are being disproportionately impacted by the rising hate against the community, and are significantly impacted by community violence, community rejection, and family violence, which are the number, one to three drivers of displacement that we're seeing in our data.
All right, so Rahma, people like you in your position reach out to Rainbow Railroad for security and for safety. What does security and safety mean to you?
I didn't feel it before, even in Morocco or Turkey, until I came here. So security, to go outside, to be myself, to walk without fear, to be arrested, to pronounce my sexuality, to walk without fear, and to hold my partner's hand without fear that I would be arrested or be assaulted. So security is not just that you have a roof on top of your head, but it's to feel that I can sleep without nightmares, without psychological or the pressure issues. So that means a lot to me. So it's because now at least I can sleep and I can walk and they can even pronounce my sexuality without no fear and not afraid from no one. So.
Latoya, let's talk about the U.S. Everyone's talking about. There's been incredibly harmful legislation introduced by the current U.S. administration, and as a result, the U.S. became the Rainbow Railroad's top country for help requests in 2024. So, talk about the ripple effects that these laws have on the work that you're trying to do.
I mean, it's impacting our work and it's impacting people globally. But for me, it's the impact that it has had on many of the refugees that relocated late last year. So just imagine for a moment, people like Rahma who are fleeing violence and persecution in their home country, and we facilitate their relocation to a place like the US where they're expecting to experience that safety, that community, find that sense of home and belonging. And then the results of the election and the subsequent executive orders that we've seen from the administration just instantly changing that reality for them. It really drove a lot of fear in those individuals, and I think that is where we have perhaps seen the most significant emotional and psychological impact of what the administration is currently doing.
Well, Rahma, your life has changed a lot since you moved to Canada. And one of the things that has changed is you've gotten back to something you love, which is soccer. So what has that meant to you?
Yeah, my soccer is my hobby, my passion, my love that I was when I was a kid. And unfortunately, my family stopped me to not play it. But I start playing again, even it's not like professional, but I play, so I'm very happy for that. So Rainbow Road give me chance and bring me here to Canada, help me to come to Canada, not just to live with safety and dignity, and also bring back my hobby according to that I got scholarship for the soccer, so I'm very happy for that.
That's lovely. Yeah. What position do you play?
Attacker or sometimes in the middle.
Oh,
good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Latoya, let's talk about data when it comes to refugees. Queer and trans people aren't often part of the conversation. And what difference do you think that this data makes on a practical level?
So the simplest example would be the pathway that we were able to secure with the Canadian government. A lot of that work was because of advocacy. And we know that governments are likely to listen to you when you can prove all of the claims you're making. And so this data that we collect and publish on an annual basis helped us to make the case to the Canadian government that this is what was happening with LGBTQ+ people who are seeking resettlement, who needed that lifeline. And so the fact that we've been able to secure that pathway with the government, we have a dedicated pathway for LGBTQ+ refugees, and they can access the queer competency that is needed to facilitate their resettlement or relocation journey. Like, that is the power of data. Data can actually affect change if you use it, in the most strategic ways.
Such an important conversation, Rahma and Latoya. Thank you so much for being here, sharing.
Thank you so much.
So if you want to support Rainbow Railroad's incredible work, you can donate at rainbowrailroad.org/freedom today.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.